So we need to talk about this Georgia farmer that did not vote for Donald Trump. And now the county, 60% of the citizens that voted for Donald Trump and whose officials are all Trump supporters, took over 225 acres of his farmland through eminent domain. They've given him 90 days to vacate his cattle and all of his equipment. They've already got the engineering firms and the construction companies showing up on his farmland. He's being literally bulldozed. Not only did the majority of the county vote for Donald Trump, all of the officials behind this decision support Donald Trump. The other entity behind this is Georgia's Department of Transportation, which is also run by Trump supporters. And what's sad is this farmland contains centuries-old pecan groves. They're plowing right through this. And there's not going to be any public jets there. This isn't for public transportation. This is for use by wealthy white millionaires and billionaires who can afford private jets. So this is where I want Georgia taxpayers to pay attention. You're paying for the rich white man's private airport with 47 million of your tax dollars. And it gets even worse. You and I are paying 40 million of it through a grant that Trump's FAA is giving to them. So we're paying for these wealthy white men to have their fun on a private airport and take away the land of a farmer who did not vote for this. He's made it very clear that he's never voted for Donald Trump, that Trump policies have done nothing but hurt his farm and his business, and this is the ultimate pain. And I just have to say, all of you Trump supporters that are all about, we love the farmers, America first, you guys let Jeff down. You let Jeff down. Racism is expensive.
Arkansas farmers are taking their own lives because of what's happening to their farms because of Trump's policies. And it's only going to get worse for farmers because this is all laid out in Project 2025. So in Project 2025, the plan is to roll back all of the protections that farmers currently have access to. Basically, there's different programs. There's crop insurance. There's these commodities programs. And most of these are either subsidized or paid for by the government. So farmers, if a small farm gets hit with, a weather disaster or something else happens where they can't profit off their crop like they usually do, they're backed up. They're safe. They can, float for another year because of these programs. They want to get rid of these programs. They want to take the burden of these programs off the government and put it back onto the farmers, meaning these small farms get hit with one disaster and they're fucked. They're done. Guess who won't be done, though, if they get hit with one disaster? Giant mega corporations, these huge corporate farms that have all the capital they need to float if they get hit with a disaster. They're not going to go under. What they're going to do is buy up all these little farms and consolidate them into these giant mega farms. That's what the plan is. And I know it's easy to be like, oh, fuck these farmers. They voted for this. This is what they get. But this isn't good for any of us if this happens. I know the FAFO is delightful, but it isn't good for any of us. And it's scary. These are the people that feed us, that provide our food, and we need them. And it's horrifying to see what they're trying to do to them.
Damn it, Obama and Biden. Because of you all, the United States can't sell their soybean, and farmers in West Virginia can't sell their shit, and they're going to lose their homes. And if it wasn't for Biden and Obama, none of that would happen, because then Trump wouldn't have had any reason to go to war with China. And they wouldn't have any reason to be boycotting. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. And I'm not going to lie. We were talking about how we want to feel bad for the farmers, because what happens to them happens to us. The problem is they didn't care what was going to happen to us, and it's happening to them first. And you cannot feel sorry for farmers when they done this to themselves. They done this. They endorsed him. They all went out and voted for him, knowing what he did to them his first term. They're like, well, he won't do it again. Okay. Anyway, it's just hard to feel sorry for him. We're all in trouble here. But you know what? They were hell-bent on fucking around and finding out for the second time. And they put us all in this position, not just them. a lot of people, a lot of companies, and a lot of companies are like, oh, well, we messed up. You sure did. Live with it. We have to live with your decision, so enjoy that shit. Take power with it. With your full chest. Remind yourself every morning when your company's going down the shitter, especially if you're a small company, because they like the big companies. They just don't like the small businesses. They ain't for all that shit. With your full chest, make sure you tell yourself every morning, we done this. Have a great day.
I'm out here in the farm fields of Illinois. This is a bean field that just turned brown in mid-September. And there's a lot of concern over where the product that these farmers in Illinois have raised is going to be going and what kind of price they'll get for the crops they've raised. I grew up in this area. I went to Little Cayman High School. It's about 2 miles north of here. And I went to school with all the farm kids, and I even grew up in eastern Pennsylvania and went to school with Amish and Mennonite kids in Lancaster County. And growing up, I had an uncle who ran a farm in upstate New York. So I have some history with an empathy for farmers, because I watch how hard they work to get this crop on the ground, and its timing and the rains in spring, whether they come or not. One year it was too wet, the next year it's too dry. It's tough being a farmer. But what's even tougher is growing all this crops and having all the equipment and debt you need to be a farmer, and then be cast aside by things like tariffs. And that's what's so confusing to me. The people out here in farm country, a lot of them have Trump signs in their lawns. There's a huge one up the road here. When I'm cycling over the summer, I see them all over the place. Probably see 10 to 20 in a 40-mile ride. And that indicates to us that farmers are big into Republican values, and that's the other side of the coin here. You know, what is the ideology driving people to want to be Republican? Well, over the centuries, you know, that we've had farming here in the United States, there's been a lot of deception by conservatives. You know, the Dust Bowl came about because people were told to go on out, God will help you, and rain will follow the plow. And that was a lie. And what we wound up with is agricultural conditions that basically turned the entire Great Plains to dust. And there's sort of a similar thing going on in Illinois in many states, because soils are not in a great condition here either. And there's just sort of been this profit-oriented idea that it's your job to go and grind up the soil and get what you can out of it, get the best price for it, and we'll take care of the rest. You know, it's that classic sort of go ideology that people pride themselves on in America. But, you know, sustainability is a real problem. That's true in terms of economic markets, where a lot of crops from the United States are sold to other countries, for example, China. And now we've imposed tariffs on China, and guess who winds up paying the price? It's Illinois and Iowa and Wisconsin and Missouri and Nebraska and all these farmers that, you know, work their lives trying to sustain their crop output every year. And Trump doesn't care about those people, but what he does do, and this is sort of his method, he has never had a good grasp of forecasting policy. He bankrupted casinos, for instance, right? And many of his businesses failed, and those that did sort of succeed were dependent on creative bookkeeping. The guy is not a good planner. He could never be a good farmer. He sucks at everything he does. But somehow he came up with this let's do something about our markets idea with tariffs, and they've never been proven to work. And right now, something like 86 to 90% of the tariffs are being absorbed not by foreign companies, but by Americans paying higher product prices. And the farmers are the ones that get kicked right in the nuts. And what does Trump do? He uses taxpayer money to pay them off for the fuck-ups that he did. And that's the sick aspect of it. And all these guys with Trump signs out here, they're happy to ask for handouts now when many of them apparently don't like, the idea that immigration people come here and, they're using our tax dollars, blame immigrants for everything. Well, guess what? A lot of our farm production, especially things like fruits and vegetables and everything, are reliant on immigrant workers. And so Trump is so fucking dumb about what really happens here on the earth that he's screwing everybody over. And these farmers out here, you sort of have to have empathy for them because they've been lied to. They've been deceived. And we need small farmers as well as big farmers. But during Trump's first term, when he first messed up with farm markets, Sonny Perdue, his Secretary of Agriculture, said to American farmers, tough luck, go big or go away. And so corporatized farmers, farming, and the seed crops owned by giant firms like Bayer and Monsanto and all of that are taking over. And if we don't have any local control over how food's produced, we're at the mercy of all of that, the corporatization of America and the oligarchy. And if you don't connect these dots and see that people out here are being deceived, and these are the same people basically voting for Trump, then you don't get it. Where will these crops go? We really don't know. They may rot in the bins, in the dryers, everything.
CBS did an interview with farmers, YT farmers, and they were up there crying, boo-hooing, mad because they're not getting any loans, any resources, any grants, anything from Donald Trump. And Trump said he would help them. They don't know what to do, and they are so frustrated. We don't care. The overwhelming majority of farmers voted for Donald Trump and the Republicans. You voted for this mess. So guess what? You're not going to get any grants. You're not going to get any loans. You're not going to get any help. You're not going to get any charity. I bet you miss Biden now, because on the Biden you got grants, loans, help, charity, everything you needed. Donald Trump doesn't care about you. So we don't care about you farmers coming on national TV, world television on 60 Minutes, crying and acting bad. You shouldn't have done it. You shouldn't have voted for Republicans. You voted against your interests. So when you lose your homes, your rents, rental equipment, your farmland, we don't care. Because you didn't care about us. You didn't care about America. You cared about yourselves, and you voted the wrong way.
You have to say to U.S. farmers who feel that the deal is benefiting Argentina more than it is them, as they are a top
Argentina's fighting for its life, young lady. You don't know anything about it. They're fighting for their life. Nothing's benefiting Argentina. They're fighting for their life. You understand what that means? They have no money. They have no anything. They're fighting so hard to survive. If I can help them survive in a free world, I happen to like the president of Argentina. I think he's trying to do the best he can. But don't make it sound like they're doing great. They are dying. All right? They're dying.
Hey farmers, is this your boy here? He's talking about how Argentina is fighting for its life, but I've been seeing videos for months, video after video after video, a farmer on this app telling me how they're fighting for their lives. So in this America First economy, in this America First world of Donald Trump's, why is he putting Argentina over the U.S.? Why is he picking Argentina products, farmers, laborers over Americans? As soon as they got that $40 billion, they started lowering their prices so they can make better trades. And meanwhile, the farmers here in this country are getting pinched by tariffs that Donald Trump put in place. So I'm just curious, for all you farmers and all you MAGA and all you whiteys out here that decided to vote for Donald Trump because he was going to put America first and help put money in your pocket, and now we put $40 billion in Argentina's pocket because they are suffering, they are the ones in trouble. What happened to that? I thought the money was supposed to come to you and me. Where are you now, guys?
Hey MAGA, did you hear that Donald Trump and his tariffs are absolutely decimating the soybean industry in this country? Yeah, our main buyer of soybeans is China, and because of the tariffs, they haven't bought a single one all year. This isn't hurting China. They're getting their soybeans from somewhere else. This is hurting American farmers. To the tune that Donald Trump wants to give them a $10 billion bailout. How does socialism sound now? Because the longer this goes on, China's not going to come back to the table. They're going to get used to getting their soybeans cheaper from somewhere else. And they ain't going to want to deal with the American system anymore. So congratulations, MAGA. You elected a man that bankrupted casinos, and now he's going to bankrupt the breadbasket of America. And the worst part about it is, this isn't the first time it happened. It happened during his last administration. And the people that were affected by it then, 77% of them still voted for him again. And those of you that did, no bailouts. You deserve what you get.